Hey, we are here today, everybody. We are here on a hangout with Claudio, David G, Amitia, and Santos Bonacci. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone.
Claudio. Santos, are you there? Santos is there. I know he's there.
Yeah,
Everybody.
good evening, everyone.
Hello, thank you. Evening. What?
Santos? We can't hear Santos now. Santos, I know you're saying stuff, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. We can hear you now. Whew.
Dang, I said hello 3 times.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so we're here today because you were interested in listening to some of what Claudio had to say about this alignment that happened, his version of it. So, Claudio.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
sorry.
Sure.
Thank you, Santos.
Go on. Thank
Claudio.
you.
Oh, I think Santos is on a slight little bit of a time delay to us. I don't know about Claudio, but anyway, carry on, Claudio.
Yes, so I'm going to unmute mine and then wait a few seconds because I think that's what's happening. Did you hear all that?
You're all right. I'm not sure if Santos is just about a second or so behind us.
First of all, I do have to preface that I've studied a lot of Santos' work for about 4 or 5 years. So a lot of what I'm about to say is a lot of things that 90% of it I learned from Santos and then went on my merry way to see what I can find to help out the team. If it wasn't for Santos, I never would have found Ken Wheeler. I wouldn't learn about his magnetism, his physics, and his metaphysics, of which a lot I've learned from Santos as well. And then parallel path went on with Ken Wheeler. So I want to thank you very much, brother. You're a very wise man, and I've gained a lot of knowledge from you.
Wow. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Right. So with that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's most important with this whole alignment of what's happening is what NASA calls Eris. They should have called it Persephone, but because that was taken, they decided to name her Eris. And with all the research that I'm doing, Eris is. If I'm gonna pull up a little screen here. This is to help everybody follow along, but it's very quite intriguing when you see what what she has to offer and what she has for us to learn. And let me share my screen here.
We can't hear you though, Claudio.
Oh, here we go with that again, eh?
Oh, there you're back. There you're there. I thought you'd gone. That's it. Right, your screen's there.
Oh, you can see my screen?
Yeah, it's there.
Is it on the whole screen or just in the lower right corner?
No, it's there. It's fine. It's all fine.
Okay. So, right, so if I go look at that, you won't be able to see me. Here, I'll try to do this. All right. One moment. Okay, so and I've actually had an epiphany with Eris, which is all these different ladies. And I've been getting, Santos, I've been getting called outside by the luminaries. Different animals will be out in the backyard and they grab my attention. Most of the time is when the moon is there. And then I had several, the first time why I found you was the moon was there, the sky got cleared, and then one cloud at a time went by, showing me signs of the zodiac. Like, it's bizarre. So that's when I ended up researching and finding Santos Bonacci. I know I need to follow astrology and follow the stars and how important they are. And then I actually did have Eris. If you look at the image on the left-hand side, upper left-hand side in the gray and white, that sort of a figure was in clouds. I said my intentions, and I went inside and I've got my app out, and that luminary Eris was in that location. So she's showing herself. And then doing the research, Eris is really Mayat, it's Mektecahuatl, it's the Madonna, it's La Befana, it's the white buffalo calf woman, and it's Isis. And she carries the Ankh. And that Ankh is a symbol of Venus and is a symbol of Eris. And so she comes around every 560 roughly years. I've got so much data that I found on her being very instrumental in coming into people's lives. One of them is, it's really funny, is all of a sudden I get an out of the blue call from an Italian club in Windsor and wanting me to get on the board. I ended up getting on the board, and I end up partaking and helping out with just the function of the mass for La Madonna di Canetto. And that too is another story where the Virgin Mary, whatever you want to call her, Madonna, Eris, Persephone, showed up to a shepherdess. And there's all kinds of stories that follow that. So it's really quite invigorating how everything's unfolding and how she's getting everybody's attention. So she travels around the zodiac every 560 roughly years. So I'm going to share a different screen now, Karen.
Okay, we're waiting.
Yep. Can you see that?
That's it. That's perfect.
Okay, so I know this is really, really busy, but I just wanted to show some of the things that are in here. And if you see, you start doing some math, you can see that Eris travels around 1/60th of the clock. And what this is, some people who've seen my other videos know that this is the 60 repeating numbers that lays out the swastika, the cross, and also lays out the 369, which lands on the 18 degrees, which the Great Pyramid has been, made things timeless by offsetting the Great Pyramids by 18 degrees, and that lines up exactly with the 369. And if you start going back with Eris and where she was, because right now she's in Pisces and she's already came in and done a visit in Aries. So she's did a little jaunt earlier on. I can get into some dates later. And she's gone back retrograde and she's come back again. So before I go on further, I want to show you that she was there during Tesla's time. You take her in 9.3 roughly years for 1/60th of that clock. You can see that Tesla was born between 1856 and was born in 1856 and died in 1943. And that would have been exactly 1907 when this lines up on the 369. So hence Tesla and his 369, it's right here. It's in there. So the map is there. Does anybody have any questions? Am I explaining myself?
I think he means you, Santos.
Okay.
Yep.
No?
Yep. Good so far. Yes.
So I just wanted to show that she does make a presence, and you can see, and this circle of 60, to which I did not discover, but a lot of the things on here I did find from other people, and I throw it on here. And this is the universal map, and it's so tied with astrology, Santos. So I thought it was very important that you see this, because it's all tied, and you can see how I put the alphabet. I know you do a version of putting the alphabet and all the different glyphs around the zodiac. These ones here fit really, 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 really amazingly. A is the alpha, where the 1011 is. Can you hear me, Karen?
Yep, I'm listening.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm listening.
We can see it loud and clear. It's big on the screen
Okay,
as well.
okay, I'm just making sure I didn't. Okay, so alpha 1011. There's only 4 places where these numbers do that. These are the gates. All right, these are the 4 gates. So the alpha's there. Omega. Oops, sorry. Omega's on the other side. 9099. Right. So there's the O. Libra. 7077. There's the G. It's the 7th letter. Right. So this is the light you can see, and then the 3033 is a light you cannot see at the U. So now when you start going all around these, you see the M and N is in the middle, and there's your Mona for your Mona Lisa. So then you start going around, you got the Romans, you got the Masons, you got woman, monad, omnia. So all these different groups, it makes a lot of sense that they were following the MNOA, the 13th in the middle, right? So there's two sides, two 13s. So I just wanted to briefly touch over that. There's so much in here that I can get into that I could take up the whole chat. But what's most important is I wanted to talk about is Persephone, the Madonna, because she's coming back. Interestingly enough, Kathy's niece had her rental property burn, and her husband is Canadian original Indian, and he told me about the white. I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna go back to the other screen now. So he told me about the white buffalo calf woman, and all these people talk about this energy, this spirit, this Madonna comes back every 500 something years. We seem to forget about her. Again, she's in Pisces, and now here's where the Santa Claus comes in. And I know, and this is one of the things I learned of many that I learned from Santos. The Santa means saint. And I was in a church just recently for my ex-father-in-law's funeral, and a little girl, my daughter's stepdaughter, looks at me and says, "Oh, look, Santa." There was a saint on the Saint Angela Church, a stained glass window that had the word Santa on it. And then it just got me thinking, right? And I started thinking about Santa Claus and Santa Claustrum. So Santa, the saint, Madonna, is coming into the claustrum. She's coming to see if we've been naughty or nice. So she keeps taking a peek, and she comes into Aries, she goes back retrograde, and she's coming back into Aries again in May. And she takes a little bit longer each time as she does her little direct versus retrograde. So the things that are lining up with Eris are just incredible. And I've been using this glyph, this energy, for weather prediction. And it doesn't only work with external weather, but it's internal weather. Last year, I was able to predict when the major hurricanes happened, or let me say major weather, because I'm not able to decipher which ones are exactly, and I'm narrowing it down though. I'm narrowing down which ones were. So I was like 90 to 95% accurate on when major weather was going to hit. And including when I came to, in the first week of January, when I came to Aruba 3 weeks prior, I said there's going to be some very different weather in Aruba on, I believe it was the 10th or the 11th. And lo and behold, when we were there with people that it was their timeshare, they've been coming for many, many years. And the guy's going, well, no, I think I've seen this kind of weather before. And it was so windy and so dark and so rainy. And so just, you could see something was different. And his wife said, not a chance. This has never been like this before. So she is showing her true colors. She's showing her wrath. She's going to be delivering her karma. I see it. I feel it. And then on that, then we had a bunch of different things happen, right? We had the three. I'll get into that. Where are we? We had let me go here. I'm going to show you. So this here are the players on what happened after the January 12th.
It's black.
So on January the 12th,
saying it's black.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm jumping. I should have went over to here.
Claudio,
sorry?
it's a black screen we're seeing. We're just seeing a black screen.
Oh, you don't see anything right now? Okay, bear with me. Anybody got any questions up until this point?
David Santos?
I'm here, but I'm not hearing a lot of the conversation. Something's dropping out from time to time.
He's gone very quiet at the moment. He's not.
Okay, it's got to be when I Yeah, I think what's happening is when I click on my screen, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. I don't hear anything fading or
You guys
coming
hear
out.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, loud and clear.
Santos, if you don't hear him, come back and then he'll repeat it.
For sure.
Claudio? Claudio, we don't hear you now.
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just trying to find this one slide that I wanted to show you guys. Just bear with me for 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought I had it up, but I can't find it.
I was really blown away by this circle that you've put together, Claudio. It's just amazing how all those numbers turn up, like the ones at the cardinal points, and all the symmetry and the harmonics that you've discovered in this circle. It's just brilliant. One of the best things I've seen in a long, long time. And that's. I think I posted it, and then Karen saw it and mentioned that you're on the show, and then suggested.
Yeah, Santos, we can't hear you. You must be a streaming issue on your end. You're cutting out.
I can hear him.
I can hear him. Yeah, he's good.
Right. What a shame, because I directed those comments at Claudio. I want him to know how how good this is. He's onto something just great here. It's very inspiring.
Claudio, did you hear that? Claudio? Damn. Claudio. I think it's something that he's doing. Yeah, he's got something else up now.
I heard like it was cutting in and out.
It must be you when you're fiddling on your computer.
Okay.
Did you hear what Santos said? He said that it's amazing what you've done.
So yeah, I heard
It's
that part just
Claudio.
at the end there. It was just starting to get a little bit garbled there.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, Eris came in earlier, and this is a little a graph of what was everything that was lining up for the major conjunction that people think was in Capricorn, but it's not. It's in Sagittarius. I go by what I see in the sky. I can show you some other things that prove that people aren't doing it right. Because a precession every 72 years, it shifts by 1 degree. You can even see that on the Gleason map, where the meridian of Greenwich is. Even the Royal Observatory is telling you that the meridian of Greenwich is shifted, or whatever they want to call it. So, but anyway, back to this is all the events that have happened during this great conjunction that started in January, and going Pluto in Sagittarius, going retrograde, then Saturn going retrograde, and then Eris comes into Aries on June the 1st, and then it went back retrograde on July 20th, and then September 18th, Eris went back into Pisces. So she went back into the feet, so she left the head. I'm not going to go into this into detail, but then I just wanted to show that Eris went direct. She came out of retrograde the day before the Great Conjunction. Like, this is it's crazy. Like, all these things are lined up, and I'm doing another video on all these handoffs. It's like they're communicating, getting ready to do what it needs to take, because we'd be coming out of the dark ages, her dark ages, because she goes around the zodiac sign. Now she's coming out of Pisces and coming into Aries. So Santa Claustrum is going to be delivering karma. For those that are good, they're going to be good. Was there or not, then we'll see what happens, right? So some really, really mystical stuff's been happening. And again, I seen the aspect for our niece's house burning. Like, not to see that it burned, that exactly the time that it happened, Earth was in line with Venus. So she's delivering, I know she's delivering karma to, she's delivering not karma to these, because they're staying at our house for free and they're absolutely loving it. But there's a management company that has given him a really heck of a time because they were only paying $800 a month. Now he's trying to kick him out. They didn't start the fire. The fire department approved it, but this management company for this, whoever owns this property, is being real nasty. And now he's getting all kinds of karmic sufferings, let's call it for now, because all kinds of people are stepping up, including lawyers and everybody else, to support him. So there's so many examples of when you see Eris and she's delivering. Well, that's basically it in a nutshell of saying how Santa Claustrum, Madonna, Mictacawatl, Eris, Mayat, whatever you want to call her, that female energy is showing her face. She showed me through the clouds. She's showing me from many ways. And I mean, we're all guided by her. And it's funny how we're all meeting. And again, I owe a great deal to all the people that I've learned from. So there is so much that I can talk about and so much that I can get into. That I just don't know where anybody, if anybody's got any questions.
Is that what you
would help
wanted to
me.
show Santos? Sorry, is that what you wanted to show Santos? And now talking then, Claudio.
Well, no, I can keep going. I can keep going, but I just want to make sure that I answer any kind of questions. If there's no more, I'll just keep going.
Santos, David?
I'm following it. All right.
Yeah, I've got no questions, Claudio. All good, brother. Yeah, just keep, I guess, presenting. Yeah, and it's all clear, loud and clear from my perspective.
Yeah, we're good. I can hear all right. Yeah, carry on.
Has he gone? He's gone.
No,
There he is.
Is he? Yeah.
We lost him for a second. He's back now. Claudio, they said that they heard everything. You'll have to hear it on the master, when it's played on the channel. But they said that they haven't. They're listening to you, so they want you to carry on.
I heard them. Yep. Thank you. Must be a little bit of a delay or something.
Maybe that's it. You and Santos are on a bit of a delay. Me and David aren't. I think Santos is all right, actually. It might be you, Claudio. Carry on then, Claudio.
Yeah, it could be because I am in Aruba. So, so on the great alignment, I went back and I looked to see major weather happened, and there was 2 cyclones or hurricanes that come cyclones in the other side of the world, but there was one major one that started on January the 12th. I have these videos can be seen on my YouTube channel, but it is 100% that that she caused and was part of with the luminaries, all this stuff. So all these different things that have happened. I don't want to go into detail here to be redundant, but if people want to go through this, you can see that all these alignments are like 100% lined up with this weather patterns. Man is not doing it. Government is not doing it. Somebody wants to, I don't know. I don't know what people are doing to try to either trying to make money on their clicks or what they're doing to try to scare people, whether it's the government doing it. I don't know, but the luminaries are 100% controlling the weather. It's repeatable, it's predictable. Again, I'm still working on the where, because the whens I've got pretty much nailed down. So you can see on this slide that I'm showing you, the peak was January 12th, 13th, and here's the data. And go figure, it's called Cyclone Claudia. Coincidence, I guess.
Haha.
So then we had 3 volcanic eruptions on the 11th and the 12th. So Atal volcano became very active. I went through and I just talked about all the different things that are happening. I'm showing some potentials of the where, because this is research, so I'm sharing my research. I'm not saying this is exactly right, but you can see Uranus. Uranus is in charge of wind. I mean, it looks like a windmill to me, but everything that I've been following, I know the different conjunctions that Uranus is in, we get winds. And it was at the exact time, Uranus was in line with the tall volcanic eruption, and then the whole Great Conjunction. So, and then you can go and look at Mama Moon. She's the keyboard player. She's the fastest one that touches everybody. So, and you can see how the handoffs go. So then people can go and watch this video. And then I started looking at, okay, so final.
Hello? Yeah. Sorry, we just lost you for a second there. Carry on.
On January the 17th, and it's right there. And you can see that the sun started square on the with Uranus, and you can see that Mama Moon started its opposition with Eris, Persephone, right? And then there's all kinds of other things you can start seeing. Sun trine with Hygeia. Hygeia is the cleanup. She's the cleanup queen. That's what I call her. And she gave me this cleanse in my throat. So it's amazing how when you start looking at a lot of the stuff I learned from Santos and how the body behaves and the throat chakra and what I had in my chart. So many of these things are really predictable, but you can't disclude Eris because she's the one that you can really dial in with. And because NASA calls her an asteroid, nobody pays attention. And they don't pay attention to the other luminaries like Ceres and Pallas and Hygeia and Vesta, the Vestal Virgins, which I got an amazing lesson from that I put on Facebook, and we'll get into here. There's a whole other discussion. So then this video just shows you all the different things that I was watching, and somebody asked me what happened on the 19th, and well, I know we got like 20-something feet of snow on the other side of on the eastern coast of Canada, and buried people, houses. So it's all there. It's all there. I'm just now needing to look at more and more data, and hopefully I get more and more people that want to jump in and do some analysis. I do have light music. He's offered to help and make an app such that I don't have to go and manually put the luminary locations inside where they belong at their declination and their latitude. So this is something that will help me out tremendously. So it's an amazing timing thing. It's an amazing luminary thing. It's invigorating to know, and with everything that I've been taught from great people like Santos, Ken Wheeler, and so many others, and the brothers David and Dave, and I could go on and on and on. That this is all piecing together, and there's so much. Sorry, Santos?
Hey, Claudio, what's that word there in between conjunction and Uranus? It looks like Taal.
Yeah, that's the Taal volcano in the Philippines.
Okay. So what's going on here? Uranus is in conjunction with what?
And Great Conjunction.
Say again. You broke up there, brother. Could you repeat that?
So Uranus is making a straight line between the Great Conjunction. If you can see all those little luminaries there, Mercury, Pluto, Saturn, Ceres, and Sun.
Yep.
Like I said, this is research. Is this what caused Tal to go? Uranus in line with those? I don't know. This is, like I said, this is just a guess on my part. It's just something that I've noticed. I'm trying to look for patterns of what makes these things.
Claudio?
I'm still here. I was just seeing if I answered Santos' question.
Oh, okay. Did I answer it, Santos?
Yeah, it did, for sure. There was a bit of breaking up there, though. Just so you know, guys, I'm not hearing a complete, good, healthy feed. I don't know where it's coming from.
I actually think that it's Claudio when he's actually messing around with his computer and he's blanking things out. And can I just say something as we're here, Santos? Do you remember the last hangout we had and we said that that noise was happening? We had a hangout next with Martin Leakey, but Flat Earth British. And the only person that had the same marble sound going round and round was him. So it wasn't you and it wasn't him. I just wanted to say that, by the way.
Right, there you go.
Okay.
It's them.
Could be. It could be. Yeah, it could be when I'm moving my cursor around or something.
Yeah. So yeah, carry on then, Claudio.
Right. So Santos, the other thing that I wanted to point out is that river of heaven that's shown on the 369. That's at approximately 28 degrees Sagittarius. That's lining up with the Milky Way. It plays a major factor in all this. And this pole shift everybody's talking about, well, all these luminaries, this great conjunction happened right around the Milky Way. And they were all jumping across the river of heaven, so to speak. So if you do get a chance, Santos, to watch a couple of my videos, I'd like some feedback from you, brother.
Yeah, well, I saw the one that I posted on Facebook and on my YouTube channel as well. So that's probably the only one. How many more videos have you got on there?
Probably half a dozen.
Beautiful. I'll go in there and check them out for sure and post them on my timeline as well. Get people to share and like and subscribe, etc. Just to continue supporting your work and making it grow, because this is really, really good. Now, all of these placements of Capricorn there just over Australia, have you deliberately done that? So you've got Capricorn and Aquarius over Australia, right? So did you choose that, or that just random?
I'm not following you. Can you ask it again, please?
Well, the map that I see up, you've got Capricorn outside the ring of the
Yes.
Earth, and Capricorn and Aquarius are in Australia. Is that deliberate? Did you choose that?
So yeah, what I did is I dialed this. So at that exact time of the conjunction, that's where the luminaries were. So all these luminaries, and if you look at all the on their stint back and forth on their ecliptic. So yeah, this is all manual Photoshop. Like I said, light music has helped me try to automate it.
Right. Nice.
We sorted then on that one.
NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. So it'd be nice when somebody finds out the calculations and the equations, so we don't need to rely on them and just using ephemeris status, ephemeris, or however you pronounce.
I think it's just a connection thing that's going on.
I've been playing with it, this app, so we can see how these luminaries and these different patterns that they're making lined up with the different major weathers, which will also help people for their internal weather, because I feel it, like the sore throat that I got that lasted, I knew exactly when it was going to go away. And it did. I did that with my wife 2 years ago. It's all cleanses. It's not viruses. They're lying. People are lying. They're not viruses. They're luminary cleanses. They're in your chart. I've got proof. I haven't put anything together as far as a video or anything else, but I've got snapshots and I follow it. And when it's time for a cleanse, we cleanse. All these energies are trying to clean our body. And if we have a whole bunch of filth in there, we feel really crappy. And that works for every chakra, including the head chakra. So when mama comes back and there's filth in our head.
I just wondered what Santos' take on that then.
About the flus and things being cleansers, luminary cleansers. I think that's what Claudio calls them, yeah?
I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. The body knows how to detox. So when you sneeze, that's the liver being congested. So the organs get congested and they talk to us, I guess. So all this pain as well. Pain is there to tell us that something is needing to be healed. So I would agree with that for sure.
Thanks, Santos. Claudio?
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, brother. It's awesome to hear. It's, I mean, it's like it can't be coincidence. And all these people are lining up in our lives, me and my wife's lives. We're renting a place from somebody, a local in Aruba, so we can stay longer because we just amazing abilities that we're going to get into more when we have more discussions. We just briefly spoke today, but there's obviously a reason why we're here with this family. And it's pretty amazing that once you jump in and say hi to the Madonna and understand that she's coming around the mountains when she comes. If you look up the story of she'll be coming around the mountains, it's about the Madonna as well. It's about her.
Ha! Of course. Whenever any song is talking about
this?
she, it always goes back to the Madonna, Isis, Mary.
Can everybody hear?
Right. I just got to figure out what the 6 white horses are. It might be the same thing as the white buffalo calf woman. So if no other questions, I'll just go on to another screenshot that I wanted to show you guys.
Claudio?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just having the next screen up.
Okay, on the actual computer, it's just your icon, not the screen. But on my phone, I can see a map.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not on the computer right now. No.
Yeah, I was just getting it ready. Do you see it now?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Gleason map. And oh, by the way, I did make a typo. It was early in the morning that I had Capricorn and Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer, and the 2 green rings in the wrong location. But it is pinned there. I thank the one brother for pointing that out. So this is the Gleason map, and I've been playing with the UTC time zones, right? So, yeah, a second. Let's see here. See the meridian of Greenwich, 12 o'clock noon. And then each hour is UTC 1, UTC 2, UTC 3, UTC 4, UTC 5, right? And UTC 5 is supposed to be Eastern Standard Time. Well, when you look at this, no, it's not. Eastern Standard Time is in UTC 6. So what's happened? Same thing as tropical versus sidereal astrology. So it's off by, from what we know, is 23 degrees. It makes sense to me right now. That's roughly it, but I'm not taking that as gospel because I'm going to work it out myself. I don't know if Santos has anything to share with that or not. But and the Royal Observatory knows that something is shifting, and that's why they're calling it a pole shift. So everybody's starting to realize that things have shifted. So I'm also wanting to do, and if anybody has any information, it used to be called the Meridian of Alexandria. So the Meridian of Alexandria was obviously back in a time when the precession was in a different age. So I can understand how tropical works because it shifts 1 degree every 72 years. So if you're studying astrology and you're off, you will notice a pattern and you'll think that it's okay from the last 72 years, but when you look at it overall, you're going to miss things. Like you're going to miss this great conjunction that just happened in Sagittarius, which was over the river of heaven right before, and it's right the day after Persephone, Madonna went direct. So these are all timed luminary handoffs, communications. You can just see them happening, these handoffs. It's like a relay race. It's beautiful and it's invigorating. So I am working on another video showing the handoffs from now till December 21st, because that was help me out, Karen. The gentleman we were talking with last, I'm drawing a blank on his name, that asked me if I could look into what's happening on December 21st because he's doing something as well.
What, on Hangout, you mean?
Yeah.
Costa.
He came in.
Costa, Brother Costa. That's who it is.
Oh, yeah.
Costa, thank
Ooh,
you. Yeah,
sorry,
so I'm working
Costa.
on that one. Yeah, I'm working on that one, and that is the one that I started showing where all the different ages of has used and renamed Madonna into something else. But I can tell you this, that December 21st used to be the Christmas day, the New Year's Day. So they're all different names. And then because of precession, the 21st became the 25th, right? The 25th became the 1st, and the 1st is now the 14th. And if you follow the Indians, the Eastern Indians, they still follow the 14th. So it's roughly around between the 12th and the 14th is the New Year's Day, the Christ, when the Christ is coming, because Sirius is due south, exactly due south at midnight on that night. And so, of course, that would have been on the 21st many, many years ago. And then it shifts to the 25th, and then it shifts and it shifts and it shifts. I'm trying to find the relationship between that and Persephone as well. So between Sirius, right? And we know that Sirius is part of the We Three Kings of Orion Tar, right? That's Orion's belt. I learned that from Santos as well. So they're westward leading, still preceding. So the precession, right? So knowing that the Egyptians put those three pyramids right there on the river of heaven, which lines up with the circle of 60, this is something that needs to be discussed and grow upon. It's a beautiful thing. So the Meridian Alexandria is going to be a key. Us not fitting on the Gleason map as far as the UTC codes go, it's amazing. We've lost our way. We're coming out of the dark ages. Our collective consciousness is growing. Can see it, can feel it. Things happen to me, and I just take it with a grain of salt because I'm supposed to have patience because I know that I'm going to meet somebody, and I'm being delayed. And don't worry about it. I'm wondering, why can't I get my phone fixed? I got to make sure I get everything lined up for this talk that we're having today. But it had nothing to do with that. It was to meet that fine young gentleman in the lobby that worked at the hotel. He's awakening. And same with the girl that traveled to Egypt. And she said she's gifted, but she had to shut it down because she could see everybody's aura, and it would not sit well with her when she was young. I told her she needs to get back into it. Numbers would be going crazy in her head when she's little, and all these beautiful colors. So I can see them. I've had many experiences myself with these beautiful colors that come out of me and start swiping from side to side, and then going to speak to somebody, and it locks in right where their third eye is located. I mean, it's invigorating. So the collective consciousness is growing. It's incredible. And that's because Eris is coming into Aries. And I know I want to see how Santos is probably going to start flying or something when the Eris comes into his brain.
Yeah, well, it was interesting
Anyway,
because when Uranus,
I know there's a delay.
Yeah, there is. When Uranus entered Aries in around 2011, well, I felt the effect of that. It was really palpable, really. It's incredible. So that's going to be interesting because it'll enter Aries. Eris will enter Aries in around my birthday, right?
Claudio?
Yeah, in May. In May, she comes back into Aries.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
in May, she comes back into Aries.
Great.
That's interesting. Really interesting.
Yep.
I mean, we know everybody's going to have a different perspective on it because everybody's DNA or their chart is different, right?
Yes.
So you like what you're seeing then, Santos? You like what Claudio's saying?
So that's pretty much.
Oh. So I was just asking Santos, do you like what you're seeing then, Santos? You like what he's talking about?
Oh yeah, this is mostly transcendental science because it's once you start dealing with the luminaries, astrology, and their influence on the mundane, you're talking transcendental, and this is why people can't seem to follow, because it's for them it's not anything that they can really relate to with their education. So this sort of stuff for me is, you know, what I wake up to every morning and go to sleep with. It's the only thing that inspires me, and it is good. Yeah, Claudio's approach is quite unique. This is what we need. We need people with a unique approach to it, because syncretism is everybody's, right? So everybody owns it, and it's like Wikipedia, right? So there are multiple writers, and they all make an article complete by adding their pieces to it. So this is how syncretism is going to take more shape as we go on in the future, with great revelations like Claudio's. It's fantastic.
There you go, Claudio. Claudio?
Yeah, I caught most of what Santos said, but it was garbled, and I wasn't touching anything. I turned my screen share off and didn't touch my mouse, so I'm not sure what's happened. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Santos. I learned that word from you, synchronicity. And studying Ken Wheeler and his metaphysics. I mean, our right brains are one. It's in the 0-1-1. 0 is the absolute. The first one is our yin, and the second one is our yang. The G meaning the 7 colors of light we can see, right? It's our material side. And knowing that the other one is all the same with us. We have the charioteer that is driving this chariot is the same one in each and every one of us. And it's being illuminated by Eris, big time. And she's coming out of as she was traversing for the last 50 years or so through Pisces, people are starting to wake up over the last 20 years, more so than we know. And that's because she's heading towards the claustrum. And it's invigorating to know and see.
I just wondered, David, do you have any thoughts?
The only other thing that I was going to, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, David, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, but we can, Claudio, you want to carry on? You were just about to say something, and then I'll pop in after that, if that's all right. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Claudio?
Well, this was, yep. This was to the both of you, Santos and David, because I know you're both of Italian heritage, is that I also did a video on La Madonna di Canneto and showing how that was just a whole nother group of people there that understood Phi wisdom, the 1 and the 0, because the glyph of Phi is a 0 and the 1. So it's the absolute and the yin. So when I did that, I found out that lo and behold, this whole story of La Madonna di Canneto happened obviously near my dad's hometown in La Chucharia. And I found out that my heritage, my Indian background, that I'm a Samnite. And the Samnites were another tribe that came from the Pythagoreans, Platonists, those guys, you know what I'm saying? So everybody comes back from them. So I just wanted to share with you guys that I know I'm a Samnite. So when somebody says I'm an Indian, I'm going to say, well, we're all Indians, aren't we? We're all from the same spot, some as the earth. So we're all Indians, and we got to stop the separatism thing, because I'm an Indian, and I'm going to go to my government and say I'm an Indian, and I want my Indian rights, which I've already done through the legal system anyway. I've already sent my whole notice of claim of recognition and note of understanding to the Governor General of Canada, claiming back all my rights. Of course, I know they just file it and then let you be on your own and going into court. But yeah, I just wanted to say that that's basically all that I wanted to share today. Of course, whatever discussion we wants to have, and let you know that I'm a Samnite. Go ahead, David.
What part of Italy were you folks from, Claudio? What part of Italy? Mine were from Calabria, right down south. Both parents.
Yeah, my mom was from, I'm gonna wait a bit because there might be a delay. My mom was from Tuscany, and my dad was from Ceccano Frosinone.
Frosinone is in which region?
I actually didn't hear none of that came across at all.
He wants to know which region your parents came from.
No, Frosinone. Which region is Frosinone from?
When you say region, it's the Ciucciaria, Cicciaro, Provincia di Frosinone.
Okay, yeah, but that's not the region. Tuscany's a region, so that gives me more or less, there's 20 regions. So Calabria is down south, and you mentioned one of your parents is from Tuscany, so that's a region. So Frosinone would be in a region, like, for instance, Lazio, Campania.
Lazio. No, it's Lazio, sorry, Lazio, yeah. I've not been to Italy, so...
Lazio is the original word for the word Latin. So when people are thinking about anything Latin, it always goes to this region where Claudio's other parent comes from, Lazio. Lazio is the region around Rome, and so this is where everything Lazii or Latino comes from. So you are a true Latino and a true Etruscan, because you have one parent from the Roman stock, the Latin, and the other one from Tuscany, which is Etruscan. So you're pretty, man, you're pretty unique there, really, when you think about that combination.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's really amazing. That's makes sense too, with Lazio being Latin. And I know there was some things that I've stumbled upon that region. I mean, and there's so many different regions around the world that had all these different tribal people that knew truth. They were just segregated it with time, I guess.
Yes.
Do you know, it's telling me, though, that we're all immigrants then, all of us, because I have German, Jewish, French relatives on my dad's side. My mum's Welsh.
Yep, we are.
We're all immigrants, really, because you're Italians living in Canada, living in Australia.
Yep.
David's also an Italian.
Yes.
So none of us are in our original country.
That's right. No. Because we don't. No, you see what's happened with the advent of the Jesuits and then the takeover of the Freemasons, everything of our history has been pretty much, I wouldn't say wiped out. It hasn't been wiped out. They can't do that. You know, there's evidence that only just a few hundred years ago, every culture really knew their astrology, their syncretism, their sacred sciences. It's just been covered over, kind of, you know, with mud. But it's still there. That's how come we can still do syncretism. So this corruption, this real final blow against the world of syncretism and truth, and the Tartarian model that was still around even in Bolshevik Russia, you know, up till the Bolsheviks. Really, we just can't possibly know exactly how history has been. And yeah, I would say we are all immigrants. You know, Italy is made up of so many peoples. You can go from one town to another and virtually be speaking a new language. I speak Calabrian, which is a dialect. So I'm very fortunate to have that dialect. I was brought up with it, and then I had to learn Italian separately. In my teen years, I had to do that, and if I didn't, I would not know Italian. You know, I had to learn it, so I didn't really speak Italian from birth. I was speaking a dialect. It's similar, of course, but still, it has so many different things. And that's how Italy is such a melting pot, really. You've got the darker, shorter Phoenician type. I think you mentioned that as well, about the Phoenicians in Calabria. So it's there's the Greco bloodline as well, all throughout Naples. That's a Greek word, actually, Neapolis, Naples. And I think one of David's parents is from Naples. So that's very Greekish. My blood would be more akin to the Phoenicians, I would say, the Easterners, the Persians. Lots of Persian influence in Italy as well. They were Mithraics before the Christian period. So Italy was incredible. In the Neoplatonic days, Rome was the most syncretic place ever. There were people worshipping Isis, temples to Isis, and Egyptian pyramids everywhere there. There was a good Persian, Hindu representation as well. All the gods were there. You know, it was beautiful because it was all understood to be astrological, and that all the gods were luminous beings in the heavens. Everything above the earth plane is transcendental, really. It's all pertaining to the gods. So there's really only one language. It's etymological. That's what causes languages. You know, the word of God is the torus field. That's all it is, the atom. That is the word of God, because they are speaking forth the creation. As the atoms, all is atum, go forth into the universe, they are just replicating what God's mind wants. You know, it's the Godhead at the monad is the one who has all is in that one, the monad, and then the monad becomes the dyad, and then the creative world begins, and then all of the thoughts from the one are expressed into that cosmological world through numbers and letters. And that's what toruses and atoms are. They are numbers and letters, quantities and qualities, pulses and waves. It's a pulse wave universe. It's not a particle wave universe. And so the numbers come from the heartbeat of the atoms. They are just beating, dum dum. They have a frequency. And then that frequency radiates outwardly and causes a transverse wave, which is the letters of the universe. All the letters come from the transverse wave. So it is a numbers and letters universe, gematria, for sure. That's why I like what Claudio is presenting, because it's the, you know, numbers par excellence. It's put on a wheel. It's related to the astrology. It is synchronized and it is syncretized. So those two words, when they come together in science, it's beautiful, because to synchronize something means to bring it together in time, and therefore unity consciousness. And then to syncretize is to bring everything together in your mind, in your thinking, so that they are all harmonious and interrelatable, which they are. They have to be. All right, I'll hand it over to someone else.
Thank you, Santos. David? David?
I'm here. All right, thank you. Well said, brother. That was poetry in motion. It almost making me think that man being atomic, and the heart reference in the center of the atom with the beat and frequency on the cymatic. But don't let me digress. I'm gonna pitch to Claudio, and then after I've done that with what he's said and what he's covered there, my feedback on that, and then I'd like to just pitch to Santos about recent things and where we are. So sit down and strap in. All right. My area is what was I going to say now? It's Siciliano in Sicily, where my granddad Vincent is from. So yeah, I've got Greek and Italian side. So Selvaggi, Bonacci, and Jeremita. Interesting, and I'm honoured to be with you boys. So yeah, the circle, what he's got, what Claudio showed us, he did explain on a previous podcast we had, Hangout, that he obtained those numbers by using the golden ratio or something like that. He is very accurate. It has got striking connotations with as above, so below, as above. You know, we've got the cherubims and so forth in the bits that we've read about, and the electromagneto frequency, where universe, matter, antimatter, what we see, and our research and discovery is he's blown me away. I thought you'd enjoy his works and the way he presents, and he's very articulate. I definitely think he's an indigo or a crystal or a rainbow or something along our lines of initiates of self, a self scholar. So Claudio, you're a legend, and I'm glad Santos has taken that, you know, and feedback of, because I've got some feedback later with regards to the Christmas times and the sun and the rebirth and the celebration. My line of like law type work is how I've become to get linked in with the zodiac and Jupiter, Peter, the Gospels, the spelling, occult symbolism, and so forth has led me to the Sun, the Bible, the bibliothèque, the New Testament. You know, it's very mixed up. So I've come into the zodiac and the planetary alignment through a different avenue and met, you know, one's minds like Santos, like you said, is been around in the game long time, and is put it out there for us to contemplate. And we've all gone off, like you said, we are. That was good, that about Wikipedia type, you know, as some influence, that we all write a little bit and complete the story, and only together doing that will we. And that's exactly with Josephus and Joseph Atwill and things like that. You bang on, because Caesar's Messiah, again, it's massive. The journey and the works that we do, I've enough love and appreciation for this, because yeah, it is coming together in Aries and the dictionaries and the constabularies and the Aries connection there. I just thought I'd throw in, because those dictionaries have helped me decipher etymological gematria, numbers, ratios, phi, pi, golden, etc. It's all linked. It really is. So the zodiac, kingdom of God, would be the animals, and the zodiac and the animals in the zodiac, kingdom of God. You know, the zoo, the zodiac, the zoo, they're linking on zoology. And with the moon and the sun, the rebirth and the savior, you know, it's just amazing how we've got the different stories, as you've pointed out there, and Santos gave the feedback. All I'll say is that I've got into this now with the notice of the, what was it, the 10th of Jan to the 13th of Jan. This, I know it's a bit of an important time for the new year. On the 12th we had with the timing of the, you know, different calendar alignment and how we see things. So the indigo lunar eclipse, wow, I didn't know. A sister on another channel brought this, the wolf moon. Santos covered the Red Riding Hood and the wolf, and the symbolism and the syncretism between, you know, the translations of this data and information. And much like the Bible, it has layers of ways of telling you, you know, what these stories are. The literalists are getting hit the most hardest, like the FE world, you know, has done recently, because we are recoding and using these times and dates and syncretisms, though, are really satisfying for me, because I'm feeling energized and charged with these, you know, numbers and times. And Claudio, respect to you for linking all that in and displaying it in your own unique, original, you know, well, you know, produced way there. And I'm just gonna leave all that there, because it's something that's work in progress. And I know the 21st of December is something like a 6,000 year a planetary alignment of the luminary, well, most of the zodiac, the solar system alignment. The last time these were this alignment, you know, forces, magnetism, electro happened was 6,000 years roughly, and they were portrayed to see the heavens come down. What were they then? The astrologists at the time, and that's because I researched the millennium bugs and clocks and data and times, and that stone tablet that they said was Mayan, and it was the 2012 end of calendar disc that they show, and that's allegedly been now moved to Aztec era. And you have a 7-year harbinger type warning affair after 2012, which would take you to 2019, and then 2019 to 2020 December. These are the final types of times, if you look at and you've covered it well beyond what I can comprehend to some extent, the degrees and the misalignment and the pole shifts and the different maps and stuff. You've got the calendars, the different calendars, the mandated, liquidated calendars that weave on that are found through law and Gregorian. The Sabbath being on the Sunday here when it really is, the first day of the week, and Saturday would be the Sabbath. So Enoch's calendar and different planetary alignments and calendars have led us to, we are lost. Wow. And you and this work and what Santos has done and what I do is all tying into a home true north. We're all heading the same way and adding little bits. So in reflection to space and planets and so forth, I did take from Santos, and the Bible is basically like a guide to help man understand the zodiac. But with regards to the KJV, it's a book about codes and property and rights and titles and equity, and the Old Testament has got certain other connotations to it. So you've got to be careful when we say Bible, which version, which testament, which edition, which because there are massive translations in each one of each particular time, and it's just the degrees of the stars and so forth. Who used to use the stars to navigate? That would be the boat people, the Phoenicians and the traders and so forth. They use degrees to navigate. You have that navigation and boats using navigation and stars to navigate, and stars being important and linked in. So I'm honoured and privileged to be on this hangout with such great minds. Santos knows what go on from our chats and everything, and I'm excited for this next year to lead up to December the 21st. I'm excited for the next 10 years. I believe there is an age upon us, and with the right minds and information and actions, I think we can achieve an unlimited future here with the science and the maths and the actual rock solid performances that we're having. But it is a little bit, to everybody else, overwhelming. So it's good that we've each got different areas and works and outlooks on stuff. Santos pretty much covers a massive area, though, more than most can cope with. Santos, you've got such a broad dexterity with your application of worldly knowledge, not just limited to the zodiac, but for us it's other indigos and this channel. It's a privilege and an honour to have you, because on that 10th of, we'll say, January, where I'm aware because of my following, that you had a special time with an anniversary of the first time you put your video up, and on YouTube, was it Mr. Astrotheology? It was a 9-year anniversary, into the 9th realm, did you call it? Well done, kudos, brother.
Yeah, well, that was the first episode on People for People Radio. It was on 8th of January, which was the exact date of when I put up my first video on Mr. Astrotheology, January 8, 2011. So it was a 9-year anniversary, and that was with Jordan Maxwell. So it was pretty historical. I really appreciated that very, very much.
Forgive me for having a couple of days out there. We got a lot of numbers going up, but I was wanting to close down the commentary and link on to that, because that in itself, with the timing of what you've said there, and the amount of work, but I've promoted on Indi and on our private domain that chat with brother Jordan, because I explained it as like two of the Jedis coming together for a end of year, like I don't know, chat and meeting, and I'm really honoured to have been able to have seen that, and for Jordan at his age, 80 odd, is it 80 thereabouts, and the outlay of what he's put, and to have him say to you the things that he said there, accreditations and connotations of how he's now got extra further down the line with the discovery, and he knew it was something of gravitas, and when he linked in the planets and not so much the theological, but the astrotheological and the energies and so forth, the Saturn and Chronos, time, all of the comparisons, and with the Egyptians and the swapping over yeah, it's a credit to you. I was ecstatic to see that, and Jordan still being around doing what he's doing is, accredited that and said what he said. I'll leave it there. Yeah, it's truly remarkable times that we're in. I'm excited to be alive, and I yield.
Thank you, David. Claudio, did that answer your? Did that
Yeah,
answer
well,
your
no,
thing?
it's everything he said is beautiful, man. All the kudos to Santos, the kind words he said about me. I always want to reiterate that if it wasn't for the great leaders of Santos, Ken Wheeler, and so many more, that I put the credits as much as I can in all the videos. I don't want to use the word just, because I just corrected Karen on just saying she's just when she said she's just. We all have our own little thing we need to do and all get together, and it's truly amazing. All the different works and people are doing, and they're coming together, and the synchronicity, like Santos keeps saying over and over and over again. I do want to leave this with some people, because so many people say, well, what does this all mean? Well, I guess it's no different than the story of Santa Claus and like La Befana in Italy. It's about the woman who comes around and she gives gifts to the good kids. And that story is about Persephone, Madonna, whatever name you want to call her, Mayat, Isis. So she comes around. So what people, I would give this suggestion, and I've been guided to look at, like I said, I get woken up in the middle of the night. I go turn on my computer, I go outside, things will pop up in front of me that I know I need to learn and do. And the thing is, the lunar returns. From your birth charts, your lunar return is your 12 to 13 lessons that you have to abide by. Depending on which house it is in, there's a story, something that you need to do. Mine have been lining up with me incredibly. So these are lessons that you know that have you been doing these good things in these good in the houses that the lunar returns in. So my recommendation to people is find out what your lunar returns are, what houses they are in, and study what the lessons are, because those are the tests. And then the gift comes on your birth date. So if you do all those lessons right, then the sun, the solar gift, is what you get yearly. That's why they give presents on your birth date. But it's the lunar returns that are really important for your lessons, because I've had so many major things happen in the last 6-7 months that I've been starting to look at my lunar returns that are incredible alignments. And so when you look at the moon and you talk about your lesson and you ask for signs, they give them to you. It's incredible. I've become a vegetarian because I asked for a sign. And the story there was, because I went on a fishing trip, and the one big fish that we caught that I didn't know what it was because my buddy never brought it in, and a local said, good thing you didn't bring that fish in because he could have sucked you off the boat. That's how big his mouth is. So my lesson to me there was, if you eat us, we can eat you. So that's just for me. It's on my own journey. I'm not telling them they need to be a vegetarian, although if you want to go and look, all the original Pythagoreans, Egyptians, all them, they were all vegetarians. But it's important to start looking at your lunar returns. That's how Mama is going to grade you as she's coming in and out of your head and looking at your claustrum and seeing if it's good or not good. So I just wanted to drop that out there. I don't know, Santos, if you can add anything to that, that'd be greatly appreciated. But lunar returns. Go ahead. Sorry.
Can I just say something? Very important words in this whole thing are nearly your surname. Santos, Giamitia, and Claudio. Just wanted to say that, by the way. Also, is this where they're changing the Bible all the time then? Because they've got to match up, because everything's moving, and they've got to match this Bible up to those dates. Just wondered, guys.
That's a tricky question to answer. That I could say that the Old Testament has got, the Hebrew and the Phoenician, and like Santos and Jordan have covered. If you go to that video, and have a look at Santos and Jordan chatting, they're talking about the controlling families and the lineages. And I mentioned what we've been told to look at: Josephus, Josephat, Will Caesar's Messiah, the original Hebrew and the Old Testament is nothing like the New World, the New World translation and encoding of certain storylines and, bondage, slavery, coming with Jesus as Christ is what man is now, thanks to Santos and the works and the studies and the applications of what we've done. So I would say that the KJV is a handbook. We would say in our research and diligence is another way of a story to be applied of property titles and rights. So each book is from a lineage and a time and an existence of which is for its time, like the Black's Law editions of dictionaries. If you want to research particular areas of law and you're in the 1800s, you're best off using a dictionary that's got the definitions from the 1800s, not using Black's Law 10, which they're on now in 2020, which is current definitions. You'd need the 1800 publication. So this is just a game that's rigged. It's full of pitfalls and nastiness and stealing of energy and hoodwinks. And I don't take pleasure in saying this, but brothers, the Zodiac's in there as well, and it's a story of the stars, but loosely threaded. It's many things to many people, and it depends on how you look at it. Is the world's greatest story, and the events contained within. But it's fascinated me, and it's not over because you've got the Assyrian, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the Sumer, the Numa Elish, and certain other bits like Zoroastrianism, where we said, Santos, before, we touched loosely on that in that timeline lineage that I wanted to try and explore. So it truly is a well of energy. I yield.
Santos, you want to say something? Your microphone's off. Oh, he's put it back on. Santos, do you want to answer any of that?
I didn't really have any particular thoughts. No, I just appreciated David's comments for sure.
I meant with Claudio as well, because he said quite a lot as well.
Ah, that's right. He had a question for me. I forget.
Yeah, I got to try to remember. I got to try to remember it myself now. My brain's going in so many different directions. This is so invigorating. I'll try to, if I think of it, and I'll repeat it.
Okay. I don't know how much longer. Oh, go on then.
I remember what it was. It was to do with the lunar return, Santos. If there's anything that you can, I don't know if you're sure if you've studied those or not. Probably have, but if there's anything you can add to that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, look, that's one of the features of astrology. I tend to use the solar returns more. I find that by the time I've done a solar return, transits, progressions, and everything else, I don't get much time to do like a lunar return. But yeah, they're all beneficial, guys. The mechanisms of the universe are so reliable and so predictable that once you monitor them, tap into them, and follow the courses of the luminaries, you'll be able to see how everything unfurls at their order, at their direction, really. Because returns and progressions and transits and all of these things, they're all about sonoluminescence and frequency. So when a planet is said to be in a sign, it means that it is now channeling energy from that part of the heavens onto the earth theatre plane. So each sign has its own frequency. There are 12, of course. They all have their own signature frequency. And then within the signs, there are many other little compartments. There's what's called the deacons, for instance. There's also what's called the terms. And so every sign is divided into 5 terms, ruled by one of the 5 luminaries: Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, or Mercury. And so each 5 planet has a certain amount of degrees allocated to it within a sign. So for instance, the first 6 degrees of Aries belong to Jupiter. Those are the terms of Jupiter. Then the next 8 degrees belong to Venus, then 5 to Mercury, then 4 to Mars, and I think 5 to Saturn. And that would make up 30 degrees. And so not only do the signs get their specializations, the 3 faces or the 3 deacons, and then the 5 terms, but also there are 30 degrees. And each degree has its own frequency as well. So any given planet on any specific degree can be stimulating certain frequencies at the time. And not only does every degree have its own frequency and its own meaning and significance and power, but each minute of that degree. And then within the minutes, there are 60 seconds as well. And each of those seconds, they all have their own frequency and their own meaning. So this is how astrology can be the most accurate predictive science there is. Once we have enough data to be able to put into any machine or a computer to be able to compute all of the findings, we will know what every degree, minute, and second of arc of astrology, what it could possibly mean. And this is how the ancient Egyptians and Babylonians used to make the most accurate predictions without ever failing, because they knew that if, for instance, the sun is in, let's say, the 3rd degree of Aries, right, they would go to their books and they would look at the 3rd degree, and the 3rd degree would have, let's say it's a degree of war, right? Now, that doesn't mean you just wait for the sun to go into the 3rd degree of Aries and then you start a war, because that's the degree of war. No, you would then wait for the correct minute to turn up, because there might be minutes within that degree where the warning is, do not start a war at this minute of this degree, because you will lose, because they will have the upper hand, because it's not the right frequency to begin a war. So they might have to wait even just 30 seconds for the next minute to clock up to find a good one for attacking. Then not only do they wait for that, they will also wait for the right second to turn up, because again, there will be 60 different seconds within that minute, within that degree, whereupon you should not act. And this is how incredible this science is. And this is why Rome and all empires burn and destroy or withhold the information. For instance, there will be many astrological volumes out there in the Library of the Vatican, which will actually tell you what the different meanings of all the different minutes and seconds of arc, what their meanings are. You know, if you had all that information and you were privy to it and had access to it and could use it, you would be able to make accurate predictions every single time without fail. And this is how powerful the science is, and why Rome went after great works of astrology. For instance, Porphyry, my favorite philosopher astrologer of all time, the Neoplatonist of the 4th century, his 12 works on astrology were, in the witch hunts, were hunted and seeked out all over the world and destroyed. And now you cannot have Porphyry's 12 works on astrology. So, and he's not the only astrologer of antiquity who has suffered this fate. You know, we still have older astrologers like Marcus Manilius, Ptolemy, Vettius Valens, Firmicus Maternus, Claudius Ptolemy, I've already mentioned, who had the model before Copernicus. For thousands of years, the Ptolemaic model was there, and then all of a sudden it was supposedly debunked by Copernicus. Well, all of these astrologers, we have all their works, but what happened to Porphyry's? Well, you see, this is where you have to. The question is begging: what else have they destroyed that we don't know? Because once it's destroyed, it's out of your field of knowledge, and so we really don't know. But this is the thing that always causes me to contemplate deeply. You know, where would we be if we had the knowledge of all those degrees, minutes, and seconds of arc? Because the secret of divination and prognosticating the future and foretelling is in those degrees that were carefully preserved for thousands and thousands of years by the great nations of antiquity. Then came the Jesuits, and the Jesuits inverted everything. They had to. Because in the old Tartarian world, everybody lived peacefully. There was forbearance and tolerance. You would worship Isis on a Friday, or Islam, Isis-Lam. You would be worshipping Saturn on Saturn Day, every Saturn Day. You'd be worshipping the sun or Mithras on a Sunday. Every Thursday you would be going to your Christian church, Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus. You'd be practicing Christianity. And every day you would acknowledge one of the 7 luminaries. And it didn't mean you had to be just Christian, you know, just a Thursday worshipper. You were all of those things. You just wore a different hat every day because every day had different energy. So, and this is also in the day you're born. I was born on a Sunday. Solar people are very vital. They've got lots of energy. They love public life, and they also like to be retiring because the sun is solo, and loves to be alone, solitary. So it describes you, it defines you. You know, if you're born on a Tuesday, you'll find that you are very, you know, most people who are sportive and athletic, they were born on a Tuesday because that's Mars. Marathon, martial activities. You know, people who were born on Wednesdays, you'll find that those are writers, clerics, speakers, politicians, lawyers, communicators, travelers, etc., etc. So going back to the knowledge of astrology, once you understand how cycles work, everything is atom, all is torus fields. And as those torus fields express themselves, they express themselves astrologically. So every wave of energy must begin at Aries and finish at Pisces. And waves are repeatable, they're predictable, and they are essentially how the universe is made and replicates itself through these waves, astrological waves. And because there is one big wave, one big atom, the ruler of the universe, Adam is an anagram for monad. Monad, Adam, atom, it means unit. Unit is unity, oneness, the monad. All of these are the same word. So at the top of our Godhead nature, there is this monad, this unity. And so when the universe is created, there is one big wave, one big atom. And from that, all its little children, all its small atoms in varying sizes and magnitudes are then propagated through the universe. And essentially, they all copy the big wave. They are all fractals of the big wave. And then as they express themselves through time, they change positions to each other. Then there is all kinds of variances to the dimension, the timeline. And this is why astrology is the only science that can forecast everything backward and forward in future, because those planets are always making new shapes and new configurations as they go through the ecliptic and circle above the heavens in circles daily, yearly, and throughout time. And they're always changing their various shapes and projecting from the constellations down to the theatre of Earth, projecting different waves and thoughts and emotions. And we are basically just like swimming and walking through those waves, imbuing them, living them, speaking them in our lives. So Atum, the sun, is the primary thinker of the cosmos. The primary intellect of the universe is the sun. It is a consciousness expander. That's why solar work is so important. When you do sun gazing, grounding, put your palms out to the sun as Akhenaten taught, and receive the rays of the sun into your body through the eyes, through the face, through the palms. Palm is lamp, both anagrams of each other. Lamps, the lamps of your body are your palms. You see, when you turn your palms around to the sun, which is very rare, how often do you see people just facing their palms to the sun? Well, not at all. It's usually the back of their hand that is facing the sun as they're walking toward the sun or looking at it. So they never think to put their palms out. But the moment you do, you're creating a loop where you are now harvesting solar energy, and you are looping with the consciousness of Adam or Tom. All is Atom. The Book of Enoch says the son's name is Thomas. And Thomas, of course, is Thomas Didymus, the twin. The twin means it's the dyad. The sun is the archon or the cosmocrator of creation of this world, the theatre on the earth. The world is really the earth. It's one and the same. Mondo is an anagram for Adam and monad. The monad makes the mondo. And mondo, when you remove the M, gives you ondo or undulate the wave. So mondo means the wave. Adam means the wave. You see, and waves are always expressed in time. Again, time is another anagram or another word for atom, at time, because vowels are interchangeable. So time is tempo, is chronos, is Saturn. So again, Tim and Tom. Tom is also time. When you play your tom-toms, a drummer knows he keeps time by playing his tom-toms. Well, again, that's what atom means, because all is a tom, it must mean time, and it must mean the wave. So the only way to understand waves is astrologically. In the world, you are taught that a wave is positive and negative, and that's it. It's limited to two things. Whereas astrology teaches you that there are 12 divisions in every cycle circle. Not two. It's too simplistic. There are 12 seasons, not just summer and winter, or 4 seasons, which would be spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And isn't it interesting how usually when you ask someone to tell you the seasons, where do they usually begin? Can someone give me some feedback? Which is the first season?
I was going to say.
Go for it. Go on, David.
I was privy to his chat with brother other day, and I was going to say Matthew, because they also could be like the chapters of the Bible, but most people start at spring. I would argue, yes, spring. Sorry, Claudio.
All right. What else? Anyone else got?
Well, this is like a test for me, Santos, because you've said it before, and I've studied your work. But for me, the beginning season is at the bottom of the wheel.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So, but I usually hear people in Australia saying summer, autumn, winter, spring. Which is okay. It's absolutely okay. But you see how astrology can bring everything home to the centered truth. You can start with Aries, you can start with Cancer, you can start with any one of the cardinal signs. Winter would be a logical place because that's the start of the sun's waxing cycle. The goat has to climb from the 25th. You can observably see on the horizon, if you are a stargazer like myself, you can see the sun inching to the right once it hits Capricorn. Sorry, let me see. For you guys, it's the left. You'll see from the northern hemisphere when the sun hits the solstice on the 21st of December, it just sits there for 3 days and then begins inching to the left as it goes toward the Tropic of Cancer. You can see it moving if you have your markers ready and you're watching the horizon, as I used to do every year in Australia. So what you're seeing there is a starting point. But really, when you understand how waves work, you would want to bring the beginning to the center at the equator, where Aries and Libra are at the equinoxes, because there's no extremities. Everything is balanced and centered. You see, Capricorn is over to the right, Cancer is over to the left. They are the extreme wave amplitude points. The crab is crabby and the goat is capricious. And, well, why? Well, see, one is water and one is earth. Of course, at wave amplitude, you're going to have the feminine material energy represented, the heavy frequencies. Of course, there's going to be water, cardinal water over to the left and then, or to the top, however you're envisaging, the expression of the wave. I like to look at it as a helix, not as a spiral. A spiral is two-dimensional. So if you look at it as the wave as helical, and you'll see it going through a tunnel, like a Birkeland current tunnel, very electrical, you will see that there will be 4 cardinal points around that circle. And every circle has 4 cardinal points. So, but if you're thinking astrologically, you'll bring everything back to the center and you'll realize that the starting point of the natural wave is the 21st of April, March. And so that's when everything begins from a balance point, right? And then the story gets unfurled from there. All of a sudden, the sun now goes away from that beautiful balance point and seeks unbalance. It's looking for summer. It's looking for the polarity of summer. So it climbs up to the watery skies of Cancer and closer to the center of the earth at the North Pole, and brings about a polarity, warmth, vegetation, chlorophyll, photosynthesis. And then when it reaches that, it must then climb down the ramp or descend down the ramp and to the Tropic of Capricorn at the other extremity, where it brings another capricious element, unbalance, cold, the polarity of coldness. So every part of the circle can be vying for starting place, but it's always good to let nature itself talk to you and tell you where it wants to begin and where it wants to perhaps finish its cycle. So Aries is the blossom. No other place in the year do you see this blossoming. And the blossom would be the journey of all the fruits that they begin with flowers. You see, so this happens at the equinox, at the Lamb of God. The beautiful white wool represents the white blossoms in the spring. And then you see the year as it unfurls, summer comes along and ripens the fruit, and Virgo is the harvest, and then begins the 180 days of winter. And so the winter was considered to be infernal or invernal, same word. So invernal would mean winter, and infernal is pretty much a derivation of the same root. And it is the cold tomb of the winter, and that's why it's called autumn. The autumn ushers in the winter, the infernal, invernal season, and then it closes off the year. Then again, there's another way of looking at cycles. Every cycle begins with, there are 4 humours: moisture, dryness, hot and cold. And every cycle begins with moisture. Then moisture generates heat, heat generates dryness, dryness generates cold, cold generates moisture, and on and on and on goes the cycle. And you can see this in every cycle. The human lifespan. If you divide the human life into 4 different sections, the first would be the moisture. We are born very moist as infants, little babies, very moist, lots of liquids. Then as we become adolescents, the heat of the passions of the adolescent youth, wanting, desiring, the ambitions, that's the heat part of the cycle of life. Then comes dryness. The human organism begins to dry up, the bones dry up, the skin, the flesh becomes dry. You can see wrinkles start, grey hair. This is a sign of not enough oils flowing and blood circulating to carry those oils, and the nervous system is drying up, the tree of life. And then as they get older, they get colder. And of course, when you do die, one way to tell whether someone's dead is to feel their body, there's no more warm blood. It's cold. And you see that cycle again in the daytime. Every morning is moist, there is dew. Every afternoon is warm, the warmest part of the day. Then comes the dry as the sun sets, and then in the night is the very, very cold. And then again, the morning comes, moisture. Same with the year, moist spring, hot summer, dry autumn, cold winter. So astrologically, you are put in a very beautiful advantage when you see cycles acting and reacting in this way. Only do waves do this all the time. They're always moist at the beginning, then they heat up, then they dry up, then they get cold. Your 4-stroke engine, your 2-stroke engine, anything, it's all the same. The beginning stroke is moisture, where the valve opens and what's the word I'm trying to use? As moisture enters into the cylinder, then there is a spark, and that's the heat. Then the exhaust valve opens and it dries. Everything is dry. And then before the next intake of gas into the cylinder, everything now is cold and ready for more moisture. And on it goes. And so understanding things astrologically gives you the vantage point of being like the witnesser, I guess. You can witness more as you experience the day. You see more. You can see people's astrological signs in the way they talk, in the way they walk, in their behavior. You see more now because you have more information. You see, there's so much that you can do in a day, so much more when you are astrological. There's more way of intaking information. And you don't miss things. There's so much that is missed. People, for instance, without the skill of astrology, you don't know how to interact with people as well. Knowing whether they are strong in the mental field, coming from air signs, or the emotional field, coming from water signs, or the sensual practical field, coming from earth signs, or the intuitive mystical field, coming from fire signs. You can interact with these people as you know them astrologically much better. If you know how to communicate through the field in which they will be able to absorb what you're saying better. You know, it's no use, for instance, if someone is very intellectual and they have a lot of air in their astrology, they are primarily operating from the material plane. So, you know, your conversation would probably be better for you to have, you know, facts and figures, knowledge-based information, rather than just speculating and guesswork, and rather than, you know, perhaps bringing in a lot of emotional content, you know, rather than being super excited and really charged about your information. You know, perhaps you can be a little bit more cooler and more collected as you deliver your information, because people who have a lot of air in their astrology, they tend to just want to hear the information. Just tell them, you know, don't load it with emotional positive or negative connotations, because it doesn't register with them. Whereas if you're talking to, say, someone who's had a lot of water, well, you know, they might need a lot of emotional charge as you deliver the facts and figures and information so that they can get into it, because they might need to jump into their emotional field as they know well how to. And that way now you're connecting with them. You know, I learnt this when I was doing home sales. I was a new home volume salesman, volume builder. And I used to go to the Tom Hopkins and Tony Robbins presentations and seminars when they would go out to Australia and do their teachings. And my company would pay us to go, you know, spend the day to hear the world's best salesmen and their techniques. And they would teach similar things, but not astrologically, of course, because, well, that's not going to favour them, because they want to be, you know, the owners of their own teachings. They don't want to show you that it's all astrological in the first place so that, you know, they can't make money out of it. They want to have their own patented, copyrighted little format and way of teaching. So they'll tell you, you know, that once you know the different types of people, you can tailor to them and you'll get more sales. And I learned how to do this. I learned to find that, you know, men who were sort of more taking the lead when they were coming in to buy a house with their wives and families, you know, if they were very cold and analytical and intellectual and had sort of more of a melancholic, phlegmatic personality, well, then you would need to come up with a lot of figures and impress them with what you know, not rather, you know, if they were sort of a sanguine kind of an individual who's very emotionally expressive, you know, then you might just forget about the facts and figures and just sort of promote the house like, oh, look at this beautiful kitchen. Isn't it great the way it makes you feel, you know, at home, and it's easy to work with. The sink's over here, and then and the fridge is over there. It's easy to get access to, and it just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy. And so as a salesman, you have to be in tune to your customers as they come in, one from another. And you have to adapt yourself, you know, like the Apostle Paul said, be all things to all people. To Jews, be Jews. You know, to Greeks, be Greeks. To Romans, do as the Romans do. And so not to compromise yourself and to, not have your standards and just when it comes, but to be able to fit in, to find common ground with people and work on that. And the best way to do it is astrologically. You know, without astrology, you're just so limited. All right, I'll hand it over to someone else.
Thank you for that, Santos. Giving us lots to think about there. Claudio, did that answer for you?
Yep, 100%. 100%. I mean, To's got a whole lot of knowledge and wisdom that he loves sharing, and we're invigorated to be able to be on the receiving end. I specifically liked your analogy of all the cycles of life, and even putting it to a vehicle. I've never heard that one with a vehicle before, so that's something I'll be honoring you with repeating that one. And so I just like to say that this cycle of life is starting over again as Eris, Mayat, Mtekawado, Madonna, La Befana, White Buffalo Calf Woman, Isis, whatever you want to call her. I like to call her Mama. So Mama is an easy one for me, and Mama's coming back in our head. And that cycle of life is starting again. We've lost our way. We've gotten cold. Everybody wants to steal from everybody. Everybody wants profit. They put profit before profit, the right profit with the PH. So to me, it's really invigorating that Mama's coming into our heads, into our claustrum, and she's going to be doing a cleanup. So it's invigorating. People are going to blossom, and we are already blossoming.
Oh, thanks, Claudio. Thanks for that. David, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was towards the end of that. I was thinking about relationships and how people base relationships and
Can I just say
future.
one thing, Santos? When I think that's reverbing through your microphone somehow. Could you just mute when you're not talking? Sounds really rude, doesn't it, to say that to Santos? But anyway, thank you, Santos.
Got it.
Carry on, David.
Yeah, there was some kind of echo, and you are very professional, sister. We know that you don't do it out of power, because you've got the power there. But no, it's fixed it. Look, well done. You are very wise. And the thread was, I was reflecting upon Santos on about the correlation of the planets and the energies and the attitude types. I was sat here, brother, grinning. I was thinking, oh, energies, deliverance, passion, emotions. I'm not too proud to say, yeah, I'm working on certain aspects of my cup that runneth over with my typical Taurus, star sign. So I did reflect there. You actually made me look in on myself, and I was grinning, but I was I was inside David then. I was above and in all over. But thank you for that. You do have an eloquent way of going on walkabout, as Mick did back in the day, taking us on walkabout. So the relationships and the correlation of the planetary alignments, you all remember reading in the newspapers back in yesteryear, such people as whatever Russells and Megs that were writing and telling you your astro star charts and so forth. And I have darker skinned family members, brothers, sisters, extended, that look at these charts. Hinduism, I believe, and certain areas of the Eastern, it's incredibly accurate. So I was also thinking of cyclical consumption on this realm. We have a cycle, and the money cycle and the man cycle, our daily cycle, the weekly, the hours. There's many cycles going off in amongst themselves, systems in systems. And I just thought the way that he was explaining it, the energies and so forth, I was just bouncing back to that. He mentioned the Vatican. So lastly, as we have got such men as ourselves on, and with Sister Special K here, do either of you two, are you familiar, Claudio and Santos, with a brother by the name of Mauro, which is Mauro, and his family clan, estate name is Big Lino, Biglino. So that would be Mauro Biglino. If you have heard of him, kudos and well done. If you haven't, then there's an earth-shattering 12-month-old video where Mauro has been a translator at the Vatican for 10 years, and he's been privy to certain, as you mentioned, the apostle and certain bits, names that we've mentioned today. Mauro's done some studies, correlations, and has recoded certain aspects of old writings and certain things that the Vatican holds there. And he's come public, and you'll find an interview with Mauro Biglino and a lady called Sarah Westall, where he's going through, she's questioning him on certain aspects of Adam and Eve and life and correlations, and with the areas that we're in. I think you'd both be, you as well, sister. I don't mean to leave you out, but Santos and Claudio, if you were make a note of Mauro Biglino and that Sarah Westall, and have a look at that hour and 20-minute chat there. I think you'll find that will correlate to your works as well, and your ultimate, outlook on things. But energies, it's scary, Santos. I'll just correlate with what I've found, and to me and to others. And when you apply this, I'm not a master at all, but I'm a novice. But if you get into this and you pay attention, what you get back is it's very beneficial, and it can be used to an advantage. Extremely, it can be in many ways. So if that's picking a wife or a husband, and certain things like that, that's very nice. But if you're using it for business and so forth, I'm not having a go. I'm just saying it shows you the applications. And with nature, we often weaponize, don't we, and collateralize, monetize things rather than, and that's why we're in the state we're in. So thank you, brother. That was truly unique and brilliant to hear. So I yield.
Thanks for that, David. Yeah, everybody's agreeing. It's really nice, isn't it? we've been going for just over 2 hours. Is there anything anybody else would like to add in information in this hangout? Or do you think that we've covered quite a big area here? And obviously, hopefully made people think.
Well, guys, at the most, I can only be around for another 10 minutes. But I'd like to hear from Claudio before we go. It's pretty much his show today too as well. So how about we just close off with, or at least hear from Claudio before I go. I'd love that. Thank you.
Okay, if we do that, but it's nice to say goodbye, together. So we'll finish the hangout and say goodbye when we're not recording it. But carry on, Claudio.
Yeah, this has been very, very invigorating, and it's nice to meet with amazing people. And Santos, I mean, you're a legend in many people's eyes for all the work you've done. It's every time I watch any of your stuff, your beautiful syncretism, and even today I learned and made a lot of notes, and I know I'll be going further with more and more studies. It's invigorating. It's awesome to see people come together with the same cause, and it's going to be fantastic to see what the future lies for us. And I know you're an Aries, and it's just going to be exciting to see how everybody gets lit up with this beautiful luminary coming into our top chakra. So I did make a note, Brother David, on Big Lino there. I haven't heard of him, and I've already got the video ready to play. So I'm very, 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 very excited to have had this moment to spend with everybody and with Santos here. I really appreciate it. Santos has any words and anything he'd like me to look up or do, because hey, this is my life now. It's the alignments, the epiphanies, the guidance, the animal guidance that I'm getting, spiritual clouds, luminaries, people. When anybody speaks, there's always a message in there, whether you know them or not, whether you like them or not. There's always something. There's always a hidden message, and when you're in tune with that, it's just you're getting an amazing guidance. And I think that's what's happening with Mama coming into close to our claustrum and starting to peek inside. It's really amazing. So with that, I will do my sayonaras. I mean, I know I'm going to still hang out here, but I'll finish with that. And I thank everybody for their time.
Oh, thanks, Claudio. David, do you want to say anything else?
No, we have covered a lot of extensive areas, and it has been a privilege and an honour to be with such noblemen and scholars, yourself included, sister. So it's great to see the energy Brother B's got there and what's going off. And I'm having trouble keeping up with you, Santos. Well done, kudos with many things, and you're keeping us on our toes. And yes, I'm happy to see the current codings and codes and cycles and energies coming back around, and it looks like we're getting a large dose of truth, science, and prosperity in many ways. So I concur with what Brother Claudio just said there, and it's been excellent. It's flown by again very fast, and I know your time's important, so we're very grateful, and have told me to say hello, thank you, lots of love, and continue the good work. I yield.
Thanks, David. Thanks for that. Well, thanks for the comment as well, but I can't say what you three can say. I'm just here to help you talk. Santos, is there anything you want to add?
No, not really. Thank you, Claudio. Appreciate your share. Please continue and let me be updated on anything else you come up with. I'll go to your YouTube channel and have a look at the other vids. What's the name of it again? It's
just my name, brother, Claudio Salvaggi, and of course aiutami, which is an Italian mean help me, right? Aiutami.
Yes, exactly. Wow.
Well, in a sense, Claudio could send it to me and I can send it to you.
Right.
And yeah, and then you can, yeah, well, or talking anyway. But it's been a really, really great hangout. Thank you so much for all your time and effort, all of you. It's really great. I hope people are thinking more now. And the being in touch bit, I think, is one of the most important parts. But Santos, Claudio, and David, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Santos has gone. I just accidentally cut the recorder off right at the end. Santos has just gone, by the way. Was hoping to say goodbye to him, not recording. But anyway, sorry. Bye, everybody. We're going now. Thanks very much for listening.